Hey guys, I'm Elliot. This is Everything Elliot. We're in the shop today. It's a cold day outside. You're gonna hear my Lanier waste oil heater going in the background because, well, I wanna stay warm. Now, we're going to do a welding project today that I've wanted to do, well, since my son was born. It is every little kid's dream to own an excavator. I'm nothing but a little kid, so I have an excavator, but you know who doesn't? My son. And I've always seen these excavators for sale, and actually when I was growing up, one of the neighbors, his dad made him one, and I always thought it was the coolest thing, and I always wanted to go over there and play with it. And even though my son gets to play with the real thing, well, when he's sitting in my lap, he's a little too young to do it himself, I figure why not make him one that he can use himself without adult supervision. We're gonna do that today. We got the welding table out. New saw. I bought an Evolution saw. I've seen these things forever. Always wanted one. They were on sale Black Friday. Picked one up. Not sponsored. We're gonna use the esab stuff today. And this is going to be a very basic welding project. I'm gonna build this all off of my mind. I don't have measurements. I don't have geometry. I've got my excavator here to look at while I'm doing it, but if it works out, I guess I'll go over measurements in the end. So the reason I'm building this instead of buying it is because the ones that you can buy just look chintzy. They look weak. They don't look like they're gonna hold up some abuse. So we're gonna start by building our own. We're using 1x1 square, 1/8 inch thick. That's gonna be the main frame. For the turntable, I've got some DON tubing. DOM, not DON. I'm a little sick, a little stuffed up. So, but yeah, we're just gonna go along. We're gonna build this thing. Base is gonna be 4 foot by 4 foot. That should keep it nice and stable. We're gonna put some gussets in the center, mount the DOM tubing to it. That should start building us up. We'll do the seat base. I had my dad build me, not really build, he just cut a piece of wood for the seat. So it's gonna live outside. Wood'll work great. And we'll have to figure out the geometry for the stick and boom, and then the handles to make it move. And I'll have to build a bucket, probably out of sheet metal. So let's start with the base. We'll get the Evolution saw fired up. Again, base is gonna be 4 foot by 4 foot. Is that what I said earlier? Yeah, I think so. Let's get to it. That beats the heck out of a grinding wheel. First time I've used this thing, initial impressions, well worth the money. Super well worth the money. All right, that's gonna be our base. Just like that. Let's see, we're doing 1/8 inch. I'll turn the wire speed down a little bit. We're on 252. All right, we're just gonna repeat the same thing on the opposite side here. Get it tacked. All right, mic's on my hat, so I'm just gonna go through and fully weld this because we need it fully welded before we can put gussets on and then get the DOM tubing mounted. So that's the reason I'm doing this. And if you're wondering, you can do this whole project with your basic welder and a grinder. You don't need an Evolution saw. You don't need the plasma cutter, which you'll see in a couple minutes here. So don't be afraid to jump in. All right, we gotta take a quick pause. My buddy that plows just called me. He buried his truck, so I gotta go tug him out with my F350. But just to give you an update, we're not done welding the bottom yet. This is gonna be the base for the turntable. Pretty much the base for the entire thing. But once we just got that weld left, and then, you know, obviously it's gonna sit this way, and then the turntable will mount to that. But I'm gonna pull my buddy out, go get that done, then I'll be back and we'll work a little more on this. Got him. All right, we're back. Typical GMC got stuck in a dusting. Crazy. We've got one more weld to do on this base here, and then we're gonna start figuring out the turntable and how that's going to work. I've got a pretty good idea in my mind, and we're basically just gonna be building this entire thing from the ground up. I don't have plans. I'm just kind of picturing it in my mind and how things are gonna work. So let's get that last weld done, and then we'll flip it over. We'll grab the DOM tubing, which is actually way overkill for this project, but it's what my metal supplier had, and he's like, you can just have this stuff. I don't really need it. So he gave it to me for free, and I'm not going to turn that down. All right, you guys can see the discoloration in the sheet metal there. That means we got some good penetration. That means this thing should not come off of here. All right, like I said, way overkill. I know this table's got a bow in it, so it doesn't sit straight. There's that, and that. And this pipe fits inside this pipe, so that's how we're gonna get that turntable action. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of the small pipe and I'm going to cut it to a height that I have not yet figured out. How far do we want to be off the ground? Do we want to be like 12 inches off the ground? That seems low. A foot off the ground, although it's a little kid. So let's do 12 inches off the ground. So I'm going to cut this smaller pipe at 11 inches. And you'll see why I'm doing that in a minute here. Wow, this is way heavy duty. Look at the thickness on that. Yeah, I love everything about that. So that'll sit something like that. And then we'll put this over it. So I'm gonna cut like maybe a 2-inch section off of here, and that'll also be welded to the base. And then the other 10 inches will be up top, and that'll be free floating on here. That way the contact point or the rotation point will be between these two pieces of metal and not on like a sleeve. And if I could find one, I could find like a poly bushing or a poly washer big enough for this. That could actually be like a swivel surface. You could get a thrust bearing, but I think that'd be a little excessive for what we're building. All right, so if you're not following along or you're a little confused, this piece is going to weld to this piece, and this will be the structure between the two bodies, the legs, and then the body of the machine. So this will be welded to here, and this pipe that slips over. This will also be welded to the base. That'll give us a flat surface for this pipe to ride on. So these two surfaces will ride together just like that. There is a little play in here, but we'll do our best. This piece right here, this is where the seat's gonna go. Piece of sheet metal up top, and then I've got a wooden seat. So for right now, let's get this piece. We'll grind down the edge, and then we'll throw a bead around the entire thing, and obviously try to make it centered. All right, so now that we got this all welded, see there, you can kind of see how this is gonna operate. So the reason that I put this one so low instead of putting it up here is the body of the excavator is going to be built off of this. So as you spin, if you can imagine, like this would be there as it spins. Oh, somebody's at the door. All right, my wife came to visit, so we're back. Like I was saying, the main body of the excavator, like the boom and stick, are gonna be coming off this portion here. So that's why I made this whole thing rotate. And then now I can just take this apart. It can be two pieces. So easy to store, I guess. I don't know, I gotta figure it out. I gotta do some brainstorming and think about how I want to attach that boom. So essentially, if we're looking at it, that piece right there. So we need to have that pivot point at the base, and then we'll have another pivot point right there, just like this. And the bucket will not dig, for a lack of better terms. It's nice having like this to look at and say, all right, well, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do some brainstorming, and I'll be back when I have a plan. All right, I think I got it figured out. So I cut a 10-inch piece of the square stock at a 30-degree angle because I don't want the pivot point down here because you have to remember the seat's gonna be out here. So if I put the pivot point right here, that would limit it, you know, the upward motion by hitting this seat that's right here. So 10-inch piece of this square tube, and that'll get our pivot point out to here, which should give us plenty of motion. This will get us outside the seat. So I'm just going to, I'm building all of this in my mind. So I'm just gonna tack this. I'm not gonna fully weld it yet. I wanna make sure everything works before we go and do something silly. All right, now we have our first pivot point. So you can see how this kind of is going to work, if that gives you a better idea. On this pivot point, there's going to be a bolt that runs through here, two pieces that come up for the boom, and then one piece through the center for the stick. How long do we want to make the boom? Yeah, I'm sorry this video isn't probably exciting as you want it to be, but we are working on it and figuring it out together. So I think we're gonna make the boom. So the boom is this part right here. I think we're gonna make that 20 inches, and we're gonna need two of them at 20 inches. All right, so now we've got these two pieces. This will be our boom. I need like a temporary / permanent bolt for this. Let's see if I got one long enough so we can start monkeying with this thing. Found a machine screw, but that'll work perfect, and it should be, this should be long enough. Oh yeah, got plenty of meat. All right, now we need to drill 3 holes because this is going to go kind of like that. So we're gonna drill 3 holes and kind of make that the pivot point, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, look at that. We're starting to get somewhere now. This thing's gonna be sweet. Yeah, this is gonna be super cool. All right, so you can see we've got the boom here, and essentially what's gonna hold these in place is gonna be the handle. So I'm going to do another square tube right here because that's the thickness of that right there. Square tube right here will come straight up and then back a little bit and then up again, and then that'll be the lever he pulls on to move the boom up and down. So I don't know where we're going to mount that. I think we'll put it at the midway point, and we will put maybe a 45 on it to bring it back, and then a 45 on it to bring it back up top, up straight. I think that's what we're going to do. All right, I know this video is going to be long and it's not super exciting, but we are figuring this out together, and essentially if you struggle through this entire video, you're going to be able to build one of these yourself because you watched me figure it out. At the end of the video, I will go over all the measurements and exactly how things are done, if it works out. But I'm going to throw you in a time lapse right now, and I'm going to get some stuff done because honestly, the cameras, they take a lot of my time. So time lapse, I'm going to do everything we just discussed. I'm going to get it welded up, and then afterwards, when it's done, when that handle is ready to go, we'll jump back into the video and I'll tell you how everything went. All right, so we got the boom just about figured out, and I'll show you what I got going on here. So I've got it propped up on a hammer right now, so imagine that's the stick, right? The stick is going to be there. It's going to be bigger than that, but essentially we've got the handle here. So what I did was I came up, out, up, add a 45 back, and then straight up, and this is where he'll hang on. This is going to be like the handle. Everything is just tacked right now. There's nothing that I can't take apart, but I like how it works. The seat is going to be 6 inches wide by 12 inches, like I said, that's already made. So that'll put it, you know, I think, let's see, I think that'll probably put it right about there. So the pivot point will be right in front of the seat. I'm pretty happy with that. And then he can put his feet down wherever he wants, whatever's comfortable, and he can reach. And as he gets bigger, he can just move back on that seat. I'm super happy with the way this thing is turning out. The stick is going to be pretty easy. That's basically going to be, it's going to come up just like that, right? So the boom is done. We're going to have the connection point. That connection point is going to be right here. And then where this piece of pipe is coming up, it's going to come up maybe 3-4 inches, just like that hydraulic cylinder. That hydraulic cylinder, that's going to be essentially the handle. So it's going to come up, and there's going to be a connection point where it'll run back, and then I'll line the handles up to be next to each other. So you just kind of, well, I moved the camera back and forth, but my hand motions were going opposite of each other. I'm very pleased with the way that this is turning out. So it is dinner time though, so I'm gonna go take my family out to dinner. We're gonna go out to dinner tonight. I don't know where we're going yet, but should be fun. You guys just saw my son wandered on in here with my mom. He was hanging out with my mom today. So this is definitely turning out better than one of those store-bought ones. And if you're wondering, I have $101 in material so far. The DOM tubing was given to me for free. That was out of the scrap pile. So just in the square tubing, I bought 60 feet of square tube. And I probably won't need all that, but I like having extra on hand just for projects here and there. And I'll be honest with you, this thing is going to be overbuilt and it's going to last a lifetime, and I'm excited about that. And I'm probably honestly going to make this video into 3 videos. This video we're doing right now is going to be the building process of the body of the excavator. The second video, I'll probably do a bucket video, making the bucket for this thing all by itself. And then the third video will be the final touches. That'll be putting the seat on and painting it and making it look like an excavator. So dinner time, I'll catch you guys after dinner, probably after bedtime. We'll get all this welded. Everything that's done so far will get welded, and then we'll jump into the stick. All right, so now that we have the boom done, again, this portion right here, since that's done, we can start working on the stick. This portion right here. So, shouldn't be too bad. We gotta kind of figure out how long we want it to be. So I'm gonna take some measurements. This one's not gonna be bad. We're gonna have to get all this ready, and I'm just gonna through drill the entire thing at one time with the drill press over there. Do the same thing as that right there. Actually, yep, nope, that is a pivot point, so we do need that there. Remember, that pivot point right there is what we're talking about. And then we need to put an extension up top, which we'll probably use some flat plate for. We'll see what I got laying over in the scrap bin over there, and go from there. Right about there. All right, I'm gonna take this portion of it off, and this needs to be through bolted. So then we need to weld ears on here, and that needs to come back. It needs to hook to this somehow. It needs to pivot on here. One thing at a time. Let's go drill this out. Ooh, wow, I don't know if you saw that. Just hit my knee on the real excavator. Well, that's not that bad. It'll work in. All right, so now we've got the stick cut. Now we need to just figure out how we're gonna hook it up. So now we just need to drill a bunch of holes, and we should be in pretty good shape. I'm just honestly gonna go drill a bunch of holes, and I'll show you what it looks like after. I'm just using the drill press. All right, we should be ready for the first or final mock-up assembly type thing. So we'll do that, I guess. So now, let me make sure you're seeing this whole thing here. It should work. I haven't touched it yet. Should work. So you pull back on this one, it lifts the whole thing up. Yeah, it works. Ha 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 ha! Heck yeah. All right. Sweet. I think my son is going to be absolutely excited for this. Sweet. All right, guys, that's going to be it for part one of this video. We got the base and main body of the excavator done. So we've got, well, that lower half, and then that half done up to the bucket. In the next video, we're gonna finish this thing up. I've decided there's only gonna be 2 parts to this. The next video, we're gonna finish it. There's really not that much left. We gotta mount the seat off this turntable here. Did I forget to mention? It spins just like an excavator too. You knew that because you've been following along, but I'm pumped. And this should be heavy duty enough that I should be able to sit on it. I mean, this is axle tubing. If that can't hold me, then I don't know. I don't know. All right, next video. What do we have coming up? We have to finish it. Mount the seats. We have to cap all these holes. We gotta cap them. I wonder if I should just buy those plastic plugs. Maybe I'll do that. That would probably look a lot nicer than trying to weld. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna order some of those plastic plugs. We're gonna cap all those with plastic plugs now that I've decided. We've got to paint it. We've got to make a bucket. That is going to be an important part to an excavator. So the bucket's going to be made in the next video as well. And I got to do something here. I don't love this. I think I'm going to cut these at an angle or something. I don't love it. We're going to have to figure that out. Guys, thanks for watching. Sorry it wasn't super exciting. Maybe like once I'm done with this one and I got a hang of it, maybe I can do like a full build in one video. This thing's sweet. Boy, oh boy, am I excited. All right, catch you on the next one. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss part 2, and I'll see you later. Have a great day.